Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and today we're going to be discussing the Glock Gen 5s. As you all well know, the Glock Gen 5s recently came out, and they are sporting several new features that have not been available on Glocks to date. The main ones being new barrels, fully ambidextrous gun, and the removal or re-removal, we'll say, of the finger grooves, which a lot of people were just shaving off anyway on the Generation 3s and 4s. So they offer a lot of new features to this gun that you could buy aftermarket, but they come from the factory. So you're keeping that factory reliability while increasing the performance, the functionality, and just kind of the overall pleasure of shooting of the normal Glock platform. Alright, now to begin, let's go over some of the additional features or the new features that Glock has added to the Generation 5. Starting with just the external features, the most noticeable is they have taken the finger grooves away. Now, we have not seen the finger groove-less Glock since the Glock Generation 2. The Glock Generation 4 had the finger grooves on it as well. You can see there, these are all going to be 19s. And then, of course, the Glock Generation 3 did as well. All the same size, all the same grip profile, but there's some different textures that go along with the different generations on the side and the front and rear straps of the grip, and then of course the finger grooves and the cuts and different things like that, but we'll discuss that in a minute. The second is the coating. They have introduced a new coating onto the slide. This is Glock's DLC coating. Supposedly, it's a little bit harder and more durable than what they've had on them in the past. The Glock Generation 3s and 4s had this nitride finish, and you can see the difference. The Generation 4 is kind of a matte gray, whereas the 5 is going to be not glossy, but it's a little bit more shiny of a black. It's definitely a darker frame overall, or sorry, a darker color overall. The next feature is going to be the front of the gun. They bullnosed the front of the gun. Now, they say this is to help with reholstering, and what that means is bullnosing is just beveling out the front of the gun here. Where on the Generation 4s, you can see that it is completely square and just kind of boxy like all Glocks are. So they bullnose the front end. This is something we've seen on the larger models like the 34, things like that. They say it helps with reholstering. Personally, I don't think that there's much merit in that. I haven't had any trouble holstering a different Glock, so maybe yes, but I think it's a negligible percentage of better holstering. Whatever, that's subject to your opinion. The next thing is they reintroduced the cutout in the front of the grip here. So this is going to aid you in stripping a magazine if you have a double feed or something like that, whereas the Generation 3s and 4s did not have any form of cutout, so a lot of people were cutting their frames to give them a space to grab that magazine and pull it out should you need to strip your magazine. The Generation 3s and 4s were kind of the age of Glock customization, which is why Glock started putting some of those features on their guns, either reintroducing them from older models or adding them new. Speaking of new, this is the first time we have seen a flared magwell on a Glock. What that means is they widen the frame at the base and then bevel the inside here to aid with reloading of the pistol. So this is not going to make you, miracle level fast at reloading, but if you do kind of mess up your reload, catch it at an angle, catch the lip of the magazine, the beveling of that magwell kind of guides it into the gun. Just a little bit easier for you. So if you're already proficient at a reload, that's going to assist you. In comparison to the Gen 4, you can see that it is just ever so slightly wider. It's just a little lip. It's not adding a lot of meat to the gun, just maybe an eighth on each side of the frame. So not a very big difference, but a difference nonetheless. The next feature is going to be they have made the Glock Generation 5s fully ambidextrous. This, I think, is the best thing that they've done because my family members and myself occasionally will shoot left-handed. If we're slightly ambidextrous or my mother and father are both completely left-handed, they have had a lot of trouble with using the index finger, dropping the slide, or coming on top and racking it. Either way, it is nice to have a fully ambidextrous gun. It's just nice. And then, of course, you can still switch around the magazine release like on the Generation 4. So that is a really nice feature as well. They have improved the trigger group. I won't say that it is as good as some of the aftermarket triggers available, like the ZEV technology or maybe an SSVI or some of those other different trigger options you have. But it is definitely cleaner on the break and a little bit smoother in my opinion. The reset isn't all that much shorter or anything spectacular, but it does break nicer for a factory trigger if you want to leave your gun factory. The last thing is they added Glock's Glock Marksman barrel. As opposed to the polygonal rifling on the original barrels on Glocks or what they've been using lately, this is the standard cut of rifling, which is a little bit more accurate, puts a little bit harder and more spin on your bullet, so that's going to be more of a match grade barrel as opposed to a Glock standard beater barrel that can shoot at pretty much anything and run anything and be decently accurate with it. Moving on to the magazine, believe it or not, they did improve the magazine a little bit. They gave it a bright orange follower, which I really like because if you are going through a reload and your slide locks to the rear, seeing that big orange piece right there really makes that kind of a faster chain of thought. Like, yep, my gun's definitely empty. I need to drop that magazine and feed in another one. And then also, they gave it this big toe on the front. If you want to compare that to a Gen 4 magazine, you can see it is longer off the front than the Generation 4. This is to aid you in using that cutout there for stripping a magazine. Now, all of these magazines are backwards and forwards compatible, so you can put a Gen 5 magazine in a Gen 4 and a Gen 3. Vice versa, you can put a Gen 3 or 4 magazine in the Gen 5, and it will run just fine. So all of these features together really just improve the overall function of the gun. It's still got the same Glock reliability, the same Glock accuracy that has been serving law enforcement for years, and of course the civilian market as well. But in adding these features, they do give it, I don't want to say competition, but they do give it one of that little bit more tricked out feel to it, that tricked out function. Personally, I have purchased different triggers and different magazine wells to put on my Glock. And I think those things do aid you if you're already proficient with a standard Glock. But it is a lot of money to spend. I mean, you can spend anywhere from $70 to $150 on just a mag well alone, let alone a trigger. Triggers can be up to $300 if you're getting a really, really nice one. So it is nice that they are trying to save you a bit of money. I do like keeping things factory. I think that the gun works fine the way it is, the way that I shoot it. I am not good enough to outshoot a standard gun. Some people are, some competition shooters, they need to add those things onto their firearm because they're outshooting their gun. They can shoot it faster, they can reload better if they have those attachments. I'm not on that level, so I like keeping things factory. I also like the finger grooves. I don't think that's a big deal, but they fit my hand and they don't fit everyone else as well. So I do really like the improvements, and I like that they're coming from the factory. So it's going to be a little bit of the best of both worlds. You're not spending extra money, you're getting that reliability, but you do have some of these things that you could otherwise spend or waste money on. Customizing Glocks is really fun, and it's really easy today. There are so many different manufacturers for making aftermarket parts, but it is just a heck of a trouble trying to sift through what you want, buy what you want, and then once you buy it, you may not like it, it may not work, and then you've wasted money. So this is nice that they are including these different things from the factory. You know they're going to work, you know they're going to fit, and you can come into a gun store and feel them, try them, test them on the gun. So guys, after looking at the Glock Generation 5s in comparison to some of the older models, you can see that they are a very nice pistol. They retain all of that factory reliability that Glock is known for, while adding some features that we have been looking for in a Glock pistol. As we discussed, a lot of people are buying these parts aftermarket and pouring even more money into their Glocks. Well, now Glock has seen that, they've realized what they're doing, they've heard our feedback, and they are putting that on their pistols from the factory. So that's very nice to see a big firearms manufacturer listening to their customers' comments and feedback and putting out firearms that we kind of made with those comments. So that's really nice to see from Glock and other big companies, because other companies are starting to see that and do much the same thing. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and we'll see you next week.